Hi everyone. Can you put all your microphones on mute, please? Yep. Okay, let's am I talking to James's coat hanger? Oh, there's James. Hi everyone, let's make a start. Thank you very much for joining us. Yet another Zoom meeting. You've got the agenda, and the first item is to receive the report from the subcommittee and to endorse recommendations. You've also been sent a paper. We've had 3 meetings and we split into 2 groups. The first group looked at the way in which the organization should be set up, and they've recommended a community benefit society, which later on takes charitable status. The second group looked at the vision, the objectives, and the aims, and that's the document that you've been sent. And that is the document that on the next item I will be proposing to send to the solicitor. Have you had a chance to look at the document? Oh, brilliant. Everyone nodding. It's like I've got a sea of nodding dogs. Any questions at all? Okay, Viv?
Yeah, just with the paper, sometimes I'm not clear whether the reference is Broadhembury Village or Broadhembury Parish, and I think that just needs a bit of tidying up.
Okay, it should be the whole parish we're referring to.
Okay.
Okay, so could I have a proposal that you accept that paper and a seconder, please? Dyer's proposed it, and the seconder is Viv. All in favour? You can't vote if you're a member of the public. Anyone against? No, James, you can't vote. Okay, great. Thank you very much. This is work in progress, so, obviously we'll have to come back to you at regular intervals. The second item is to appoint solicitors to act for the parish council in the CLT setup. I've spoken with 3 solicitors, one James recommended, one that we use normally on other business in Exeter, and one who seems to be the world expert on setting up community land trusts. They're called Wrigley's. They're based in Leeds. They've done lots of this. They are actually on the panel of solicitors' practices for the national CLT. And the cost is £1,200 plus VAT, plus any additional costs that we might incur as a result of wishing to make amendments. And let me just explain about the amendments. The form of corporate body that we're proposing is regulated by the FCA. The FCA will only consider an application for a new corporate body if it has come through a sponsor. A sponsor typically is a person who has already cleared their credentials and a set of rules with the FCA. The National Community Land Trust is a sponsor, but they would also charge us a sponsorship fee. Wrigley's are a sponsor, but they don't charge a sponsorship fee. The standard template, which anyone has, will not be sufficient for our needs. And the reason why not is because in the purpose and the aims and the vision, you'll see that we want to make absolutely clear what the criteria are by which the CLT could move forward, the things it could do and the things it should definitely avoid at all costs. And therefore we shall have to make some amendments with the help of the solicitor to the standard rules. The cost of that could be up to an additional £950. So obviously we'll have to be quite selective about what we do, but one way or another, the cost will come to less than the 3,000 we had set aside. Any questions at all about that? It'll be AOB. I shall ask Edwina in a minute towards the end just to talk about how we plan to finance this through grants. The process, this is just the legal process, and this is not a delay on the solicitor's part. This is a delay on the part, well, not a delay, this is slowness, I suppose, on the part of the FCA, who are quite an active regulator. Is going to take 3 months at least to do this. So could I have a proposal that we engage Wrigley solicitors, please? Thanks, Nick, and a seconder. Okay, and everyone agree? Unless anyone can think of a really good solicitor they I haven't approached or thought of. Good, thank you very much. There will be another small group of the subcommittee set up to deal with the initial discussions with the solicitor, but it will have to be led by a parish councillor simply because it's the parish council who are the clients, and we can't, you know, the subcommittee doesn't exist as a legal entity, so that's how we will do it. The third thing, to open discussions with the provider to conduct a housing needs survey. Rather strangely, a housing needs survey, as I understand it, through Devon Together or Love Devon or Devon's Fantastic or whatever it's called, the provider, takes roughly the same time. It takes about 3 months. So what I am proposing that we actually develop a parallel track and we open discussions with the provider to create a housing needs survey. What I'm suggesting is we don't go live on that. We don't launch the survey unless the CLT is set up, because that works to the maximum of the CLT actually being able to respond as the need is developed, if a need emerges. But I propose that another small group should actually open a discussion with the providers about that. Adam has offered to lead that for the parish council, and Tina, I think, am I right, Tina? You offered to help, didn't you? Tina has offered to help him. So the ideal mix here from my point of view is a parish councillor plus someone from the subcommittee, and we'll have to go back through iterations on the subcommittee as this is developed.
Rob offered to help as well, actually.
I'm sorry, Rob, you did. I'm sorry, you're quite right. Yes, please. So I suggest we open discussions with them to do that. I'll just assume that you agree with that. Unless there are any questions, I won't even bother taking a vote on it, because you all seem very quiescent and agreeable tonight. So I might chance my arm a bit. Okay, good. Well, we'll go ahead with that. Items of any other business. I was told last night that there was one other person who wanted to join us, and he was waiting for an invitation from me but hadn't received the invitation. So I emailed him today and invited him to this meeting, but he doesn't know how to do Zoom. So I sent him the link to Zoom and was kind of hoping he might be able to join, but he hasn't. And it's Steve Griffin, whom both Edwina and I did talk with, actually. So although we decided at the last parish council meeting that the subcommittee membership would be closed to any further additions, could I have your permission to extend it to Steve Griffin, please? Are you okay with that? Because actually we have discovered there are so many tasks, we need lots of people deployed on lots of tasks simultaneously if we're going to get to the end of that. Thank you. The next item of AOB, I've asked Steve Chipperfield, who isn't actually in this call, is he? No. I've asked Steve Chipperfield if he would join with me to write what is basically going to be a prospectus. In other words, this will be a document published for the parish. Sarah, was this one of the things you offered to help with, or did you offer to help? No, you offered to help with something else, didn't you? I'm sorry, little.
Hang on. It was the affordability criteria and definitions.
Okay, got it, which we will have to do eventually. So I've asked Steve to help me write a document which can go out through the letterboxes of everyone in the parish explaining what we intend to do and why we intend to do it. That will go out long before the survey, because it will only take us a few weeks to do it and get it printed, but the survey is going to take 3 months. And we can do that communication before the CLT is formed and state very clearly what we want to do. I think it's quite important because A, it will give you all a crib or a briefing note to work from if you're asked. But more importantly, I'd like to agree it with the whole steering group. So, you know, we're all clear about what we're saying and the whole parish knows exactly what we're intending to do. Because although these parish council meetings are available in audio and a little bit later in written minutes, not everyone is necessarily going to, you know, listen to the audio and work out what's happening. So Steve has offered to help me do that. And I'll come back to you all, both parish council and subcommittee on that. Last item of any business. Edwina, can you just say something about your, in broad generic terms, not detail, about your explorations for how we fund all of this? mute off. You put your sound on.
Yeah.
That's it.
At the moment, obviously, I'm exploring the doing the initial stages for funding, and I'm in touch with both EDDC and Wessex because they work hand in hand, and we've got up to £40,000 for that, provided we meet the criteria. I've still got the application form to complete. I cannot complete the application form without some details such as bank accounts and who's going to sign, etc. But basically, we can go up to £40,000. We can go make as many applications as we wish to that maximum. It will fund the feasibility stage, which is helping to put together the project scoping, engaging an architect, etc. After that, it will also fund forming a community organisation, working up ideas, doing training for the managers who would propose to run the project. And at the planning stage, it will help with professional advisors, legal and financial and professional advice, technical studies, and any planning fees incurred. So I've gone to about half a dozen people for that. And then when it comes to the larger item, obviously that's going to depend upon the agreement we come to with the solicitors as to what kind of legal authority we're going to form, because we will then perhaps be looking at you know, shared looking at the community to take shares in it, etc., etc. Wessex, as with a lot of the other people you've spoken to, Bob, they've said that they would help at that stage, but obviously what they are really wanting to do is help and take a tranche of the money. So it's in hand.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we have got the money to get started on the legal fees, but we've also got in hand a process to get grants. And the document you agreed at the beginning, obviously, is an important document for funders to see that we're being serious, quite apart from a document which the solicitors can start on, but it's also the document we can use for communication. And it's a document I'm going to lift from to put into the neighbourhood plan. Because actually, if I manage to get most of this into the neighbourhood plan, it would give much more legal safeguard for the kinds of things that we want to protect. Mike, sorry, did you want to say something there? Sorry, did I see you want to say something? Oh, okay. Sorry. Sorry, the image is so small. Okay. Are there any other business items? Adam?
If there's conditions to these grants, we should be aware of them before the rule's written so that they run together. I mean, maybe I'm stating the obvious, really. So there might be some conditions to getting the grants, and if we write the rules in a certain way, we could possibly exclude ourselves. I don't know.
Sound, Edwina.
Right. The initial grants that I'm going for at the moment for setting up everything, there are no conditions whatsoever to that. It will be a little bit further down the track, and I'm hoping that if Wrigley's have got a lot more experience, and by the time I talk with LED, who also work on funding, I want to make sure that we don't find ourselves at cross purposes.
Adam, we've probably had about 10 or 15 grants during my chairmanship. We've never actually had a condition that we haven't been able to deal with, or a condition which has made application of the grant difficult. We have our own condition, of course, and that is the grant pays us for the VAT, and then we reclaim it. But maybe you should delete that from the recording, Adrian.
Yeah.
Okay, so the meeting has come to an end. A little embarrassing this point. I'm afraid the parish council members are going to go into confidential session. We are allowed to do this by law on certain issues. And the issue we want to discuss is a commercial issue. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the CLT or housing, let me assure you. It's a completely different issue, but I'm just using this opportunity. So thank you all of you for joining. I know I'm due to come back to you on those of you who volunteered to do bits and pieces, and we'll set up another meeting of the subcommittee. So thank you, James, for joining us, and Tina, and Mike, and Sarah, and Bill. Oh, and Rob. Thanks, Andrew.
Bob, I know I haven't got a right of audience, but I think it's Steve Griffiths, not Steve Griffin. No, I've got that wrong.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Thank you. I should know. I planted the trees with him.
Oh, Edwina doesn't agree. But anyway, I shall leave or be ejected, whatever's appropriate.
No, you're just quietly retiring. Thank you. Okay, so Aid, can you turn the recording off, please?